had that feeling like it was still there for a few weeks or months afterwards, but it eventually just stopped.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. I feel like it's there sometimes, and it never has been. Junie!
Well, I can understand that. I had
maybe
odd vaginal spots and things like that before surgery.
Yeah.
Hey, Jenny.
Hey, how you doing, Jenny?
Oh, hanging in there.
Let's see. If I'm Jennifer Juniper, would you be Junie Jeppener?
Juniper Jennifer.
Junie Jeffiner? Yeah, Jennifer. Well, it'd still be Jennifer then. That would suck.
Yeah, so many J's in the community.
You're blinking, Phoebe. I'm just gonna mute you. Get your shit straight there, sunshine.
I might cut up in a bit. Hold on.
Anyway.
There I go. Okay. I think I'm on now.
I can hear you fine.
Okay, good. I also have been having connection issues.
Oh, it could be me. I don't know. Like right now, Jenny's frozen sniffing her hair, but I think that's not my video. She's just sniffing her hair.
Frozen?
No, she's not frozen. Her eyes are blinking.
She's very good at it.
Of holding still, yes, she is. Maya says, when are you going to be monetized? Sometimes a bitch wants to throw money and shit. I don't know. Did the Patreon come up in my description? I actually started a Patreon account because Utah Outcasts and Ox and Junie all harassed me enough. And then all three of them contributed a couple dollars. So thank you for that. I didn't expect. I would just see when people say, hey, we need a link for. I think they're going to shill it out. I don't think they're going to give me money because I don't even think like that. I'm like, okay, just send it out somewhere. And then they give me money or buy a shirt. And I'm like, don't do that. I don't want my friends to spend money on me. Give it to people that are like loaded and they can do that shit. You know, I don't know.
I like to pretend that I'm loaded.
Really?
Yeah.
Sometimes I like to pretend. Never mind.
Yeah. Well, don't let your life go that way. Take a better direction. I did that, and it just gets you into trouble in the long run.
Money cannot buy happiness. It's absolutely the truth.
But it can
but it can buy security when you're retired.
It's true.
And that's what you got to hang on to it for.
Lemon curd sandwich. Is that like lemon cheese? Oh God, that looks. Never mind. We're not talking about what
lemon curd.
Judy. Mute's just long enough to laugh.
Yeah,
lemon curd sandwich.
Actually, why am I muting myself? There's nobody around me.
I don't know. Why are you?
I don't know. Maybe
habit?
Yeah, habit. I'm used to being in a train station, just like, you'll hear a lot of background noise.
Right.
Plus, I'm afraid that there'll be some either feedback or echoing. Maybe that's why.
I haven't heard any from you. You sound fine. Yeah.
I'm on mobile. That's why.
There's no issue on my end either.
Yeah, sounds good over here. Mr. Paul Camish, how are you today? We're just starting to gear up here. I'm sure the bullshit will be flying in a second.
Thank you for inviting me to this. It's
Phoebe.
Wonderful.
I always love inviting you. You three are the people I always try to invite to everything.
Well, there should be one more person. But
there should be more than that, but people are working.
There should be one more person, but he's unavailable. He's working at a Catholic hospital.
Yes, I know.
This is the first time me meeting Phoebe.
Oh, Junie, you don't know Phoebe?
No.
I keep introducing Junie to new people. I think, is that what it is? Is that what I do for you, Junie? I find you more friends?
Yeah, that's why.
This is the second time.
Yeah, that's why I
come
come
on
here.
my show if you want to.
Phoebe J. Rose, trans. Meet Junie, hopefully soon trans.
I seem to somehow manage to get people just pushing through the egg, don't I?
Don't you? Oh yeah, and Junie, Phoebe does interviews on her show with people that are either in
Is it on
some stage of
non-cisgendered?
about to just starting, have been, whatever. So
or
fun.
Type
sometimes
B. I've
really
had
old,
Jenny.
or sometimes really old people that tell stories that aren't true, but only because their brain is so foggy they can't remember the truth anymore. So
I said have been.
Shut up.
Have been transitioned. Yeah, so we were
like coming in.
So we were talking earlier about on Twitter about talking to family members about stuff. So this is what I did with my girlfriend. I said, "Hey, I need to talk to you for a second. It's serious." She was like, "Okay." So she like faces me on the couch, and I said, I've gave you dropped little hints and mentioned a few times about transitioning stuff." And she said, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, I've decided I'm going to do it." And she kind of went, "Well," and then she stopped for a second and she said, "Well, I kind of figured you were going to, because you've dropped enough hints about it." And I said, "Good job catching on to those." So I said, "Well, how do you feel about it?" I said, "Now you don't have to answer me now." I said, I want you to have time to process this. And this was on a Thursday. And I said, "I want you to have time to process this. And if there's any questions that come to you or any questions you have right now, do not be shy. Ask whatever you want to ask, because I'm being open and honest. I'm bearing my soul to you. So I want you to do the same. It's okay for you to do the same." So she said, "Well, I worry about aggression because I know that can cause aggression in people." I said, "That's only if you have too much testosterone. If you go over the limit, then in steroids and stuff can cause aggression." Yeah, that's true. I said, "But if you are regularly by a doctor and you get that right level of testosterone in your body, that shouldn't be a factor." And I said, "Actually, I've known some people that said that once, including some people here, that had said once they were on the hormone that they identified with as far as their body goes, that they felt better and felt less panicky and less anxiety and all that." And she was like, "Oh, okay." And she said, "Well, what's going to change?" And I said, "Well, the only thing that's going to," she said, "What's going to change? Like, body hair?" I said, "Yeah, I might have, I'm probably going to have more body hair, facial hair." And I said, I want to get rid of my boobs because they've always felt awkward and I don't know why they're here to me ever since I've had them.
For sucking, okay?
Well, I'm getting to that. Hold on. So she said, "Really?" And I said, "Yeah, it doesn't do anything for." I said, "Besides watching a woman suck on them, the feeling does nothing for me. It's just like nothing." And my boobs are actually pretty sensitive, like in general, to pressure or whatever, but it just does nothing for me. It never has. I said, "I just like to watch women suck on them. That's the only benefit they have, And so she said, "Okay." And I said, "Well, just if you have any more questions." She said, "No." I said, "Okay, I'm going to go home and I'll talk to you on Saturday." And we got back together Saturday and we kind of discussed a little bit. And I said, "So are you willing to try this with me?" And I said, "Because, we're new. So, if you want to duck out, I'm giving you the opportunity. Like right now, it's cool. I will not be angry at you. I absolutely understand. It's your decision." And she said, "I'll try this." And I said, "Okay." So that's how I handled it. And I think it's very important to let that person know that you're being fully transparent with them. And there's no joke meant there. Being fully transparent with them and being honest with them so they feel like they can be the same way with you. And don't get mad at them if they start saying something you don't like, because the whole entire conversation is gone. You have to keep your calm and say, "Okay, I understand where you're coming from." Try to see it from their point of view, just like they need to with you. So, okay.
Yeah,
I got.
I don't let that stuff bother me. Like, I guess pronouns at the moment, because I like to keep things neutral. But whenever my partner usually uses either Mister or "Oh, you're a strong man," it aches me inside still. But I don't vocalize.
Yeah. Well, that's part of the conversation you need to have. Maybe you can start there and work into the rest of it. Say, "I don't feel this way."
Oh, she knows. It's, because we've also had a conversation about it, and I told her, before we got together, I was on the verge of trying to or thinking about transitioning, but it. I guess things happen, and you just move forward. And when people tell you, well, just don't don't give into things.
Did you delay beginning a transition? I mean, I don't know when you guys met and how long you've been together and stuff like that, but did getting together or having that discussion with her make you change or delay your decision? Or
Definitely getting together with her did, and also becoming a parent. And there was a lot of factors. Like
Yeah, it always is.
Her family's, I don't know if I want to say conservative, but I think she's more afraid of her, family giving a lot of opinions and judging her, and I guess us as parents at this point. But and we've been together for 12 years almost.
No boy.
Yeah. So.
Well, I mean, I know this sounds kind of harsh, but you just have to see whether your love can stand it, or whether that person's willing to try it at all with you. It doesn't mean that if handled the right way with the right two people, you guys could even have slightly separate lives, but still be together in the kids' lives. You just have to be very, well, I mean, everybody's got to be forthright and have calm conversations to get through that kind of crap, and not let their emotions play into their logic. And it's hard.
It's one of the most challenging
things. Had so many
to
friends
do.
go through it.
It's one of the most challenging things to do, because you have to have an emotional conversation without being emotional.
Right.
And it's going to have a lot of emotions, but you can't let the conversation just become emotional. So the hardest thing about these conversations that I do apologize now for everybody listening and everyone else on this chat. I am a social worker, so I'm coming at this with a strange hat on at the moment, and I've got into that mode at the moment. So you have to allow the conversation to be driven by the rationality of the emotions, but not to be driven by the irrationality of the emotions, because emotions are valid. Emotions are good. Positive and negative emotions are both good. But you have to ensure that you're not allowing the emotions to cloud irrationally what's actually happening. And yes, I did just sound like a complete practitioner there. And yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm a very emotional person.
Yeah, me too.
Sometimes the best thing to do is when somebody is getting irrationally emotional, is allow them to plow through it. If somebody is getting that kind of emotion, but it's not in a way that is harmful, but it is just in a way that is uncomfortable. So, a family member of mine, when I was younger, who didn't understand my autism, would regularly try to stop me going through some of the emotions, such as the more aggressive yet not aggressive towards other people, and would try to stop that, and would say, you're just being emotional. Yes, that's the point. I am being emotional. But the problem was when they would say, you're playing emotional games. It's not emotional games here. It's something that's very serious, and sometimes it can be the best thing to do.
There's my sunshine. I miss you.
That expression.
Go ahead, Jenny.
I hated that expression, emotional games. It completely invalidates the idea that we all experience of discovering our feelings, assessing them, understanding them, and allowing the fact that they change to exist. it's like the saying
emotionally
I always
damaging.
use, we don't know what we don't know. Well, you don't know what you feel until you feel it, and as life goes on, your attitudes and things change. It's just the way it is, and that's not.
And even then, you don't always know what you're feeling till later.
It's growth, you know.
A friend of mine said something very valid in this. Bathing yourself in the emotions can sometimes be the only way to fully adapt and acclimatize to those emotions. Sometimes you do have to bathe in those emotions to be able to understand, and then when you're no longer bathing in that emotion, you can then look back on it.
Sam, how are you?
Doing all right. Sorry, I'm a bit late.
I have a
No,
feeling that
you're
this question
fine.
is
I'm
aimed
just
at
glad
me.
you could show up at a 20-minute notice. So I guess you figured out what the topic is today.
Yeah. Did you get my message on Twitter, by the way?
Yeah, I sort of half read it because I was already on here.
Valid. Just checking.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll read
Yes,
it later.
I have a feeling this question's aimed at me. How do you know whether an emotion is rational?
It's
or
aimed at
irrational?
everybody. I want everybody to answer it.
Well, yeah, but I'm the one who brought it up.
Yes.
But yes. The way how you will know if an emotion is rational or irrational is if it is controlling you, or you are still able to exert some semblance of control over it. So if you can steer that emotion and you can channel that emotion, you're still having rational control over it. If you are no longer listening to reason as a result of it, then you have stepped into the irrationality, in my opinion.
See, I think I would agree with what you're saying, but I would use the terms very differently, and so might disagree with the wording. Well, I think the concept. Yeah, I think the concept you expressed I would agree with, but when someone says rational or irrational emotion, I tend to look at emotions as irrational, but any strong emotion of any description can reduce our ability for rational assessment in that moment.
A rational emotion in certain circumstances would be, say, the birth of a child. A rational emotion to that would be happiness, in my opinion. If you're going in there wanting to cause harm to that child, that, in my opinion, is an irrational emotion.
Oh, I see. Okay.
That would be irrational. There is limited rational basis or justification that you can have when you have the birth of a new child and you express negativity towards that child because that child has not done anything to you. Whereas if you are a new parent and you're expressing happiness and joy, that's much more rational because there is offspring and there is inherent innateness towards your own offspring.
So given the circumstances, do your emotions make sense? Sort of thing,
depends on the individual. Depends on the individual.
Yeah.
As an autistic person, I still don't understand my emotions, but from a purely practitioner point of view, I know what emotions are.
I have the same issue, honestly, where I'm like, I'm experiencing this emotion. The fuck is this?
Do you think that there's a spectrum to irrationality? Or I should say a spectrum between rationality and irrationality?
Yeah, it depends on who you talk to. Like, one can see an action rational and the other one can see it irrational.
I think an example I would use for that would be something like, I have a friend who has panic attacks in response to a certain phrase. Now, in the context that we're in now, it's an irrational fear response. However, given that it was a trauma, in the moments where the trauma occurred, because it was a repeated phrase that occurred during a beating, it makes sense that they would have that fear reaction. And so it was rational in the moment, but is irrational after, if we're using those sort of metrics.
Certain phobias work the same way. For example, I have acrophobia, and it is completely irrational. I can't change anything about my acrophobia. It is irrationally there. I have tried to break it down, but no matter what I do, you take me off 2 or 3 flights of stairs and you put me on a balcony, I'm gone. I can't go on the London Eye. I can't do Ferris wheels. I struggle with roller coasters. I cannot do them because I have that level of irrational acrophobia. It's like people who have arachnophobia. Again, what harm is the spider? That level of irrational fear that you're facing is an irrational emotion. Not that I'm aware of, nerdy.
Okay, I'm assuming that based on the context, it means the fear of heights.
Yes, acrophobia is the fear of heights.
Okay. Well, I love heights. I'm like an adrenaline junkie sometimes, so I'm pretty reckless.
Sometimes I do certain things that I know are going to induce that fear because I am the kind of person that wants to experience that.
I like heights in theory, but in practice, they always really, really scare me.
Yeah, I can't do heights. I don't consider that irrational at all. I think it's perfectly normal.
But the thing is that when I'm inside a building and I
What's
look
wrong with
out
you?
of a building, if I cannot... No, full stop. Even if I can see the horizon and I'm at the top of a fairly tall building, I can't do it. But you put me in an aircraft, I'm fine. It's weird.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I cannot go near the edge of something. If there's a fence or barrier that's at least waist high, if not higher, I'm perfectly okay with it.
Well, for me, I can't. I can look down, but just don't make me look up.
Oh no! There's no down.
It doesn't bother me up to a certain point, and then after, so you get so high, it starts bothering me a little bit. But like Jenny said, if there's a railing there or some kind of protective, it doesn't bother me a bit because I feel more safe. But if I look straight down, like over something, I'll get vertigo. If I see the level I'm on and the lower level at the same time, it only has to be about 7 or more feet down away from my current position. Anything more than like maybe 8, but definitely anything lower than 10 of where I'm standing. If I see both at the same time, I'll just fall over.
I got stuck. I got stuck on the edge of a roof on a ranch house that is only, like barely 1 story high. And there was a ladder next to me, and I couldn't get on the ladder. I was so scared. It was just too much.
Have this. It's less a phobia and more I have an anxiety disorder. But if I'm anywhere that I know logically is high up, my brain will start presenting me with ways that the thing I'm in could fall.
Yes. Thank you, DKH. That's exactly what I do if there's no railing. He said, without a railing, I sometimes have a fear that I'll impulsively jump off. That's exactly what happens.
Oh yeah, that feeling.
I feel like I'm just gonna, by accident, just step off the edge. And it's so fucking stupid because you'd think your body's natural reaction, your brain is gonna make you jump back anyways. You know what I mean? Like that's instantaneous. That's just like fight or flight kind of shit, But yeah, I get that feeling too. I feel like I'm just gonna accidentally step off. And it freaks me the fuck out.
But here's the ridiculous thing with me. I've been abseiling before. I've intentionally done abseiling and things like that to try to overcome some of this crippling fear that I have. And it doesn't matter. Every single time I have done abseiling, even though I know that the chances of the belay line and the carabiners and the waist hip harness failing are nothing. Still, I get up to the top, I lean backwards, and I just freeze. And it takes me about 10 minutes to actually then start going down. And I've tried it, and I've tried it, and I've tried it.
See, that's really interesting because I had the opportunity to try that once as well, and I loved it. It was totally safe and secure feeling. I knew I was with professionals, and it was just...
Repelling?
This is a blast.
Oh yeah, I love repelling because I'm okay. I have ropes.
Yeah.
As long as I have confidence in those ropes and confidence in who tied the rope, and I'm confident in my own tying down on my end, then I'm okay. I just have to know that I have to, as long as I can yank on shit, make sure everything's tight, and I know I'm secure, I'm good. I've been rappelling before. It was actually a lot of fun. I've also been ziplining, and it didn't bother me. Even though we were ziplining in the mountains in Costa Rica, and we were up really high, and the valley was way low below us, I was fine because I had confidence in the equipment.
Because tight.
Thank you.
I have a limit.
I've done ziplining. Ziplining I can do. I don't know why, but I can do ziplining. I don't know why. I can do that.
Yeah, I can't do that.
Ziplining is...
love ziplining. It's like the cheapest, the easiest form of a thrill ever.
Ziplining I don't mind, but I've only ever done really low ones, so I can't comment on higher up ones.
I did a zip line in a valley on Gran Canaria once. And that was one of the greatest thrills of my life. It's just wonderful. Also, somebody said that they experienced what I would describe as acrophobia, but when they were scuba diving. So the lower they went, they got an irrational fear of...
Yes, me too.
Yeah.
And
not
see,
claustrophobia.
Hold on just a second. Who said it? I think it was Nerdy. Oh no, it's Maya. I don't mind jumping off the high diving board. My fear has always been that I'll go so far down that I'll lose my breath before I come up. Also, if I jump in water, I get disoriented. I don't know which way's up, and it causes a panic attack for me because I have a fear of drowning. So the lowest I'll go, I will not jump into the water. I mean, as much as I want to, like I would love to jump off of a cliff into the water. I think that would be like the best fucking thrill next to parachuting, you know? Like I totally want to do that. But I'm afraid that I'm going to go down and I'm going to get disoriented because that's what happens anytime I've tried it. And I have a panic attack. I mean, like my ex pulled me out of the water. When I was a kid, before I even knew how to swim, I jumped off the high dive at college. And my brothers were waiting for me. And I jumped right down between them and they pulled me over and put me on the edge of the pool. I did that twice. It was a blast, but it made them nervous, so I wasn't allowed to do it anymore. Because they had to like swim down and grab me because I wouldn't know where the fuck I was.
Flip it. B, all you got to do is follow the bubbles. They know the way.
Yeah, it's not like that when you're having a panic attack.
Yeah,
Jenny.
I know.
Yeah, it's not.
I'm too deep in the water.
See, I would do cliff diving, but the fear I have of cliff diving is not the hitting the water or the swimming. It's the bloody great big cliff.
Oh, the cliff doesn't bother me.
So
I despise the cliff. I always have this fear that I'd jump, fumble, and end up smacking my head on the way down.
Yep.
Go tombstoning.
I just don't like deep water.
Like this.
I just don't like deep water. I never have. I've gone scuba diving. I mean, snorkeling. I went snorkeling in Mexico with my ex. We were there for 2 weeks. We did everything to the point where the last 2 days we were like, I don't know what else to do. Like we went and did everything. So we snorkeled a lot because it was cheap and it was, it was fun. You could just walk up to a lagoon and just walk in and snorkel. And they had some parks you could get into as well that had like the lazy river thing, but it would go faster in spots and then slow down in spots. It was really cool. And there was like fish and stuff in there with you. So you had things to look at while you were snorkeling through there, or you could just float or whatever. And they were all harmless fish, but they were beautiful. So we did that a lot. And this one time, like last time we went before we left, we were in this lagoon and it was right next to these restaurants and hotels and stuff. And it was beautiful. And we went we were like going around the edge of the whole lagoon. And I was looking at the rocks on the side and blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden I saw something walking way down below me. And I looked down and there was people. And there was a railing that went down the side, across the bottom and back up. And they all had scuba helmets on and bathing suits. And they had a hose going up. And there was like 8 of them. And there was one person in front and back leading them and 6 people in the middle that were like tourists, right? And the guys in the front and back had bright orange, like a vest on kind of deal. And they were walking around the bottom. And I realized these people look this tall to me. That's really fucking deep. I need to get the fuck out of here right now. And I was like, I was out of that bitch fast. I had no idea. I had just gently, I was looking at so much stuff. I didn't look down and see how deep it was. And I had a panic attack. I mean, it freaked me the fuck out. I don't even swim well, and I swam really fast to the shoreline and got the fuck. I just crawled right up on the rocks. Fuck the exit or entrance. Fuck that.
It reminds me of when I had a disconnect moment when I was taking a tour of the sewers near me. I went on a tour of Brighton sewers with an ex. I bought it for her birthday. Tells you what I think of her. But yeah, because it's all brick lined, it's all Victorian, so it's brick lined without any pumps. It's all gravity fed and physics fed. And when we were there, you could see all the way down to the seafront and the beach, where the sewage would just discharge. And these people were like this. And it's just like... Shit.
Fuck no.
What the...
There's water involved. Fuck no. I'm like, fuck no.
Here's the thing, though. When we went on that tour, we were warned that if it started raining, we might have to evacuate. Because there are active sewers.
Ew.
So yeah.
You're talking about like storm drains. You're talking about like storm drains, though, right?
No, I'm talking about, sewage. Sewers.
Poop?
Sewage.
Ew.
Sewage.
Yeah,
Go in
sewers.
one of those.
Sewers. You could go and take a tour of Brighton sewers. Just walk round the tunnels.
Which
quite literally,
I'm
around the tunnel.
only aware that that's a thing because one of my partners is at uni in Brighton.
I'm not sure Potato Guzzler won. We really segued. We started out with like a rational conversation, and somehow we didn't win it. Then we went into this craziness, and now here we are. So
at the moment, we're talking about taking a tour of the Brighton sewers. But here's the thing, though. I was
hoping me saying that would stop that, but go ahead.
But yeah, I bought it for an ex for their birthday, and they loved it. They loved every minute of it. Really weird.
Hey, honey, I love you. Let's go to the sewer. Okay.
I used to work at a haunted house.
Things are a little different in the U.S. I just want to point that out.
Well, actually, I can understand the attraction to that. In Milwaukee, where I grew up, used to live and stuff. They had a problem with pollution getting out into Lake Michigan, sewage. But it wasn't just the sewage. It was sewage that would get away, but it was because of rainwater. That it was a combined sewer system. Too much rainwater, the sewage would overflow, and so they started this project where they started building these tunnels, way down, like 200-300 foot down in the ground, and they built these tunnels that were like 30-40 feet in diameter. This big network of them. And I always wanted to go down that and see what it was like, because they're not always full. They're many times just empty. And that's where the rainwater goes, not the sewage. So,
right.
But yeah, I'm one of these people that goes spelunking and goes to abandoned places, and we'll just go and.
Oh no, that's cool. Just the sewage shit threw me off.
But I've also been on. I don't know if anyone else knows this, but London Underground Limited, the people who run the London Underground and London Transport, do tours of their abandoned bits of system.
Oh, do they?
They do. So I have done all of the in-person tours that you can do. And there's like bomb shelters that are still there, disused London Underground train stations, abandoned high-level train stations, and they're just fantastic. But the one that really freaked me out is called Down Street Station, and it was abandoned when Churchill left it, because it was Churchill's emergency bunker in London. So you had the Imperial War Museum Churchill War bunkers, which are in Westminster itself, and slightly further out near Hyde Park is Down Street Station, and they have left it as it was. So there were like bathing facilities there that haven't been washed in nearly 80 years. And it's just like, this is disgusting. This is absolutely foul. And it's just like...
I actually have a partner who would probably really like that, so I guess I have to add that to my list of places to take them.
They're called
That
Hidden
would be
London
cool.
Tours. At the moment, they're not doing the in-person tours, but they're doing virtual tours.
Okay.
That's even better. You don't want somebody with you down there. You want to have fun.
Yeah, you don't want to smell the poop.
Our public television station is or network I should say is got a real everything British bent going right now, and we're just flooded with British television series and things like that right now. One of the things that we're getting is a lot of documentaries on British engineering and British history of the Industrial Revolution and the sewer systems and the aqueducts and things like that you guys have come up with and stuff. And I have to admit, it's very, very fascinating, especially when you consider the year that some of this stuff was built and to the tolerances and it's built and how long it's lasted so far and expected to last in the future. And like
the Great Brunel Tunnel under the Thames. The Thames Tunnel was hand dug.
I have a question about that. Wasn't it London? Was it London or Chicago that started the first underground system to transfer water because of fires?
London.
It was London? Okay, I thought so.
Because it was done at the same time as when they started doing the train system as well. It was the 1860s.
Yeah, they created like these troughs underground to transfer water so firemen wouldn't have to go and get water and bring it back because places were burning down too fast.
That's why London was the first place to have fire hydrants.
Right. Yep. So if anybody wants to bitch about people over there, just remember that. Save your ass. Save your life, man.
I really enjoyed the documentary where they went through in great detail on the restoration of Big Ben, or not Big Ben. I know Big Ben's a tower, but the clock.
No, the Elizabeth Tower.
Big Ben clock. Yeah,
it's called the Elizabeth Tower now.
Oh, it is. Okay. It was just fascinating because I'm a mechanically oriented person that way, and it was just great fun to watch. But I was also really interested how they uncovered, or not how, I know how they do that. The fact that they uncovered the original colors, that it was some of the trim and stuff was painted, and that they've gone back to that. It's beautiful. It was just absolutely fucking beautiful.
You know that in that tower there was a prison cell in that tower.
That they didn't mention.
There's a prison cell in that tower that used to be there where they would hold MPs who had been banned from entering the day's sittings or had been chucked out of the day's sittings. So if Parliament was in session, you were a member of Parliament, you were banned from that sitting because you've been chucked out, or a member of the House of Lords and you've been chucked out. They put you up in, as it was then known as, the Tower, housing the Great Clock. And
so every time they're in session, that person has to be up in that prison?
Yeah, that's what it was like. So you had a 7-day suspension.
Actually,
just ban them from the property. Like, you don't think you have to go to that extreme. They're one person.
That actually reminds me of something that I learned relatively recently, that actually there is a person who lives in the Tower of London.
Yes.
And I then ended up, after finding this out, finding the person who lives there's TikTok, where he complains about certain things about living there, like the fact that no pizza delivery driver ever believes him.
So, like, sure, you live in Big Ben. Right.
No, the Tower of London.
The Tower
of London. Okay, whatever.
She's like, yeah, sure, you live in the Tower of London.
That's
funny. Yes, and you're going to pay me with the crown jewels, are you?
Is the guy a beefeater or something, or why do they live there?
I would assume he's a beefeater.
Maybe that's why all the Londoners half of them were deaf. They were all the ones that got stuck up. You could tell who got put in the Big Ben prison because they were deaf. And don't get chucked
Big Ben
at
does have a crack in
noon.
it. As Paul Riley
Put you up
says,
there and gong.
As Paul Riley says, it does have a crack in it, and it does affect the tone of the bell. So it's, I think it's think it's half a note out now. I think it's now a flat note instead of a natural note.
Oh, because it has a crack in it?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, of course. Yeah.
See, and for me, that was one of the more amazing things. The fact that they could make a bell that big that many years ago, that they actually had the.
How about getting it up there?
The forging,
slowly.
sure. But the forging and casting knowledge
Right.
to make something like that, it's just.
I mean, you could picture like taking pieces of the clock up, right, by rope. But to take that fucking bell up, like that was like a crew of very strong people to pull that up in there.
Maybe there were giants.
Probably used horses.
There may be
How'd
giants.
they get it up there? Somebody find that out for me.
So
But it's
I
like-
did a quick look as
It's
to why
nerdy.
the person lives in the Tower of London, and it's because he's part. So basically, the constable of the Tower of London, which is a military position, lives there, and their family live there as well. So the current constable of the Tower of London is General Sir Nicholas Horton, and he lives there, as does his son, who is the TikToker I mentioned, and just kind of his family live there. And that's the context for why people live in the Tower of London. Is a military position, constable of the Tower of London, and the person who's the constable moves in there with his family.
Well, there you go. Speaking of information, the Big Ben prison. It's 114 steps up inside the Elizabeth Tower as it is now. It was last used in 1880, and as I think everyone here is potentially an atheist, it was last used for the MP Charles Bradborough when he refused to swear allegiance to the crown on a Bible. So they chucked him in there because he was an atheist.
Oh, wow.
Imprisoned him for being an atheist.
I mean, token pagan, but, you know, close enough.
That's why I said I'm assuming here.
Yeah.
Making assumptions. But yeah, he was imprisoned for being an atheist. And I'm being told off by B for making assumptions.
Don't assume.
Before I let y'all go, going back to the irrationally emotional and risk-taking
Would
behavior.
you?
Oh yeah, that's how we got on this.
Oh yeah, that's how we got into atheist MPs being imprisoned in the Elizabeth Tower.
Yep.
Before y'all chuck me in there. Yeah, I was told that, you know, maybe I'm just acting irrational by, you know, thinking about transitioning completely. Even though I've been thinking about this for the last, you know, 10, 12 years. 10, 12. You know, I hope it's not, you know, it's not that, you know.
I don't think it's irrational to try to feel more like yourself. I don't think it's irrational to want to be happy in your own skin.
I think
Understanding yourself is perfectly rational. Wanting to understand yourself is perfectly rational.
I think that the issue is that a lot of the time when I hear people say stuff like trying to transition is irrational, as best I understand it, they're trying to say is that they don't think that's optimal for the goals you have as a person, because they assume every person shares goals with them. And so transitioning is, in their minds, it seems to be this thing that is either harmful or suboptimal to being a person, or for religious reasons they don't think that we should do it, or any number of things.
Yeah.
I would have to ask the question.
Go ahead.
Is this? Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how to state it correctly. Is this question that you have going in your head about the act of transitioning in terms of other people and how they would feel or relate to you, or is it based on your inner feelings of, am I making a mistake in terms of identifying myself accurately as a trans person who needs to transition?
I think it's just based on other people's comments on my previous, actions as well. I do tend to act on my emotions a lot, and even my partner says, just think about the long-term effects on these things if you are going to go through hormone therapy, and I guess think about what everybody else is going to, assume of things and how society will view.
What about the long-term effects on your mental health when you're trying to act like somebody you're not?
Well, yeah. And speaking of religion, I used to be a strict Christian, thinking that it's all going to be just a phase and go away, towards, people who were transitioning, at least in my life. And so I part of it is also, my past telling me the same thing, maybe it's just a phase that you're going through, even though it's a long phase. But
Maya said, society wants us to think it's irrational to be yourself, either because they believe in an antiquated 3,000-year-old book or because they don't want to be open-minded enough to deal with it.
But what book? The Bible isn't 3,000 years old.
BB said, what book are you on about?
But the Bible isn't that old.
Equally, certain books in the Bible are older than 3,000 years.
I really don't feel like that was the point.
I know, but I'm an arse.
Oh, okay. Well, but I agree with you that the stories are that old, but not the actual book.
Yeah.
But that isn't the point. Shut up.
Yeah, that's not the point. Shut up.
Oh.
The point is that society as a whole wants us to conform to what they think is normal and what they think is within the margins and what they think is okay. And what they think is not what most of the people in the society thinks. We keep listening to these people, keep listening to these fuckers.
This is changing society a little bit. This conversation is a little bit changing society. Just a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, because we exist within society, and ergo, every time we change a bit, society does, which is...
Sound a little Jewish there, eh?
I think
as somebody wearing a Star of David who used to be Jewish, very, very accurately deduced.
Maya said, Jenny's right. The story's 4,000-year-old or more. It's really hard to know.
I think
it also depends which iteration.
I think it's really important to ask yourself, again, when you're dealing with the transition issue, is what's the motive of the person you're talking to's answer. And like Maya brought up, that it's sometimes religious, sometimes not. But I think, oh boy, okay, story. This will say what I'm trying to say. When I transitioned, the one thing my father said to me on that night that I came out to mom and dad, he says, "You're going to have the loneliest life you could ever imagine." And he didn't object to the sexuality of it. He didn't object to the morality of it. He didn't object to or try to challenge the scientific assumptions that were being made at that time. He was worried that I was going to be alone, be lonely. And he never changed from that for all the rest of the years that he was around, up until the well, not up until, but including the final few months of his life when we actually talked about it again. He was very specific that he said that I knew it was who you were. He says, I knew that you were always different. As he put it, he wasn't very good at using the right words. But I knew what he meant.
None of us were.
He said, well, this is 2011 when he died. And he's saying, you were always very effeminate. Your brothers would complain about you, and we didn't tell you about any of that, and all these kinds of things. And he says, I'm really sad that you've been alone all these years.
Oh,
And it was just, damn it, he was telling me the truth back then. And I didn't know how ready he was going to be.
well, he knew the world wasn't ready for it. It's really what it was.
Yeah.
Nobody was ready for it. Oh, so many. That's why I didn't even consider it when I was younger. I mean, I wanted to from the time I was like 16. I knew that, but I was like, our world's not ready for this shit. It's going to be horrible.
Shameless plug. Check out the full story on my channel.
See, I probably should have twigged a bit sooner than I did that I was queer. Because from the age of about 7, I would periodically get asked if I was gay. And then it wasn't until I was 15 that I realized I was queer, because I went, oh, wait, no, I'm asexual. Okay, that's a thing. And then it's kind of developed from there, and now basically the only thing I'm missing from my piss off a Republican bingo is being a person of color.
Well, you can only do what you can do. We don't get to choose that shit.
Blackface is unacceptable.
So bringing this back around to Junie, you've been moderating on this decision for 10, 12 years. Oh, and I know I'm not supposed to say that 10, 12 either, but I did. That's an inside joke, folks. You're still really struggling with it, and I can't give you the answer. I know what I feel is the answer, but that's for me to keep in my brain and shut up. It's time for you to make some kind of decision.
I want to add to that, Junie, and say that I just spent the last 34 years of my life not being myself, and it eats after you, and the eating doesn't get easier. It eats at you more and more over time.
Yeah.
So it's really a decision of what you're willing to sacrifice. Are you willing to sacrifice your life as you know it right now, with a possibility of a change or a different life, or maybe even a better life? Or are you going to sacrifice your emotional well-being and your mental health? So just think about all the aspects before you make the decision. That's all.
Oh yeah, and speaking of mental health, that's a whole nother story with me too. So I mean,
yeah,
it is going to be a journey. Still, even though it's been a very long time, but you're right. I think if I would have done this much earlier, maybe the loneliness part would have also been occurring. Sorry, am I breaking up?
No, you're fine, man.
No, you're
we
fine.
Can hear you fine.
Okay. And I think that's why I postponed everything. Was maybe I should just live my physical, I guess, quote, how everybody sees me versus how I see myself, to prevent that loneliness.
That scares me.
Yeah, because I say
scares me to sit here and go, okay, well, I'm going to be a guy now. I'm going to transition. And am I going to be alone because of it?
Yeah, I'm afraid.
Probably a good possibility because I'm fucking old. I'm 50.
I'll be honest. The scariest bit of transition for me is the government.
Yes, but yeah, just following on from what B was saying. I transitioned, then I detransitioned, then I retransitioned. And the loneliest years of my life were the period between my first and second transitions. They were horrendous for me. They were personally some of the loneliest, most damaging years of my life.
Well, the bottom line is if you're not happy with yourself and you're sad with what's going on with you, that shows on your daily, it changes how you act. It changes your body language. It changes how people view you. So if you're not being your true, genuine self, you're not truly happy, people are going to know that, and you are going to be lonely. It's true.
Yeah.
So, well, not in Junie's case. Junie can stay
have
right
all
where
of
they're
it
at.
There are wonderful people in this community,
Yeah.
and I say that genuinely, who will be there.
Oh, yeah. I will. I'm here.
I'm here too.
Yeah, you'll have to try harder than that to get rid of me.
I'm not so sure, Junie. I don't know.
Shut up, Jenny. So full of
Hey,
shit.
hey,
You're one of
again,
the more than people in this whole fucking community. Kiss my ass.
Sam, come on my show, and then I'll never be able to get rid of you.
Sam, you should. You should do an interview with Phoebe.
Sam, I was on with
That could be
Phoebe,
cool.
and she
does
one of the best
transitioning
interviews I've ever been in.
It was amazing. She's really good at it for some reason. She just knows when to ask a question and move the conversation along and everything. She does really good.
Here's something else that may shock you. I know when to shut up as well.
That's right. Be
So that's-
your true self.
Oh, thank you, everyone.
No, that's one of the reasons I took the name B, the nickname B. After people using it for years, I was like, you know what? That's perfect. I'm going to be me. I'm going to be caring. I'm going to be loving. I'm going to be humble. I'm going to be kind.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Be good.
You're going to be Opie's aunt.
Well,
See, what'll be
no
nice is when I
E-ray on the end,
actually-
sunshine. Well, my new name is not going to be that. That was a dun-dun-tish.
It'll be nice when I can eventually pester my GP into actually putting me on the list to see a GIC. Because the last time I spoke to him, I was under CAMS, which is the youth mental health service. He tried to offload me onto them, and then I left them before they got round to dealing with all the paperwork because they were then trying to pass it back to him. So now I need to re-speak to him. Now that I'm 19, and be like, "Oh,
Right.
you actually put me on the."
I'm gonna be radical here. Speak to me afterwards, because are you prepared to wait 7 years?
Fair.
Speak to me
fuck that.
afterwards. Are you prepared to wait 7 years?
Nope.
Make the appointment now. You can always cancel it. You got a lot of time to decide.
No. To be given an appointment will take you 7 years. In the current state of the UK, it's between 6 and 7 years to get an appointment.
Yeah, no, I'm genuinely considering just going private at this point once I have some money.
Yeah, that was the conversation I was going to have with you, because I don't want
Okay.
to delve into your financial position on a internet
Yeah.
stream.
Yes. But yeah, afterwards we can always talk about that.
Yeah.
I'd appreciate that.
And then I'll get you on my show.
Oh, hey, yeah.
And I
I'm going to
put
get
you
you on my show one way or
Yeah,
another.
look,
and I put you on my list for people I got to take care of when I win the lottery. So we'll help out if I can.
Any
there's
minute
one of my
now.
goals too.
Is this the
Any
Mega
minute
Ball
now.
lottery? The one that has the enormous winnings, the Mega Ball.
Yeah, the Powerball, Mega Ball. Yeah, they're pretty much the same. And yeah, the one that's cracked $1 billion. Yes.
Have you heard of
And-
El Gordo?
Wrong one.
No.
Means the greedy one.
Mm-mm.
It's Italian, and it has the largest. It's Italian and Spanish, and it has the largest ever prize ever given out. It
Really?
gave somebody the equivalent of 1.4 billion US dollars.
Fuck. Oh,
Wow.
Won by one person.
And then
Well,
over there, what is that like? That's like 2-point-something billion. It's like almost double, right?
US dollars are the weaker ones, so
It's about
in euros.
half here.
So in euros,
Oh.
it was about. The prize was 1 billion euros, which was 1.4
Oh,
billion
euros.
dollars.
In America, if you win $1 billion, you take about half of that and throw it away to taxes and other fees and stuff that occur.
Here's the thing: in the UK, gambling winnings, including the national lottery, are tax exempt. So
Yeah,
if
they
I
are,
was
which is really
Oh,
weird.
Fuck.
Here's a good point somebody brought up, and I believe that this should be actually factual, right? They tax us for lottery, then all the money we spend buying tickets, we should be able to take like 33% or 66% of that and get a break on our taxes. They're taxing us for winning, but they're not letting us use it as a tax break if we lose.
Gambling
Bullshit.
losses are deductible.
Bullshit.
Yeah, gambling losses are deductible. So you could put
what?
So if you were to keep your lottery tickets, you would file a W2G form, which is a gambling losses form.
Seriously?
And you could deduct your lottery tickets off your taxes.
You mean all these?
They're a form of gambling.
You mean all these years I've just been throwing those fuckers out?
Yep.
I'm gonna start playing again.
It's not like they want to tell you that.
Yeah, but you file a W2G form. You have to declare, and it's a declaration of the amount you've earned through gambling winning and the amount you've lost through gambling as well.
I'll be damned.
So yeah, you file a W2G form.
Yeah,
the total I've ever won is
gas
like
station.
130. I guarantee you I spent a lot.
Why do you know more about
Go ahead,
American
Judy.
taxes than most Americans?
Yeah, what
My
the
brain
fuck?
is a sponge, and I have watched the television show Breaking Bad too many times.
Oh, okay.
No.
Well, that's fine explanation.
Touche. Well, if it was on the internet. Go ahead, Junie.
Because
you taking off, Junie?
Junie.
Sorry, I was gonna say when I used to work at the gas station, like at the but before I go, like before the end of the year, I used to see people, I guess dig through the waste bin for the lottery tickets and just take them with them because of that reason. But yeah, anyways, it's reached the hour mark, and unfortunately, I'm being summoned.
That explains why I've seen homeless people like pulling lottery tickets out of the trash, and I didn't know why. All right. Thank you for coming, Junie. I love you. And if you ever need anything, everybody here is, always available. Okay?
No, thank you, everybody, for the advice.
And I'll hook
Hit
you
me
up
up
with
on the
people you
Twitter
don't
box.
know.
Take care,
hit me
Jimmy.
up on the Twit box.
Yeah, you
Bye-bye,
can poke me
Junie.
on Twitter.
Will do.
But no, Sam, you were
Well-
mentioning children and adolescent mental health services before. Here's something. I was under children and adolescent mental health services in 2004 for the same reasons that you were trying to be under CAMS. So that's
Fair.
how many years ago I started this shebang. 17 years, one way or another, I've been at this shebang.
Yeah. See, they've actually changed it from CAMS to HYM, Healthy Young Minds, but I'm still going to refer to it as CAMS just because that's all everyone knows it by.
Healthy Young Minds, it sounds like one of those things like, talk to Frank.
Oh,
Do you
it does.
remember
I'll be
Frank?
honest, I kind of, because I'm AMAB, I was able to kind of walk in there with a list of 50 autism symptoms I display and go, give me a diagnosis.
Here's the thing. I didn't have my autism diagnosis until I was 25, so I long transition. So they didn't know what to do with me. And it's just like, we'll see how many of both of them that you fit.
Are you guys gatekeeped enough where you have to pretty much recite a standardized profile to get treatment?
Are we talking for autism, gender identity, or just
For
in general?
for gender.
When I was going through it, when you go to support groups, the support groups would sit the new people down and say, well, okay, this is how you need to present. This is what you need to say. Don't mention this. Don't mention this. Don't mention that.
Okay.
Make
Yeah.
sure you do this and this
Yeah.
and this and this and this and this and this.
His
Okay,
a billion
like here.
hoops.
Okay.
His a billion hoops to jump through.
Yeah, and they said, and the one thing that they did say was, okay, have you started hormones yet? For the trans women, have you started hormones yet? No. Well, okay, here's some to start you off with. They'd literally sit round in a circle and they'd just give the new people some hormones. See how you feel on them. Just how do you feel on them, and then come back.
Well, they would never
physically
do that here.
hand you a bunch of pills?
No, this is the support group. So this is a peer-run support group.
I know,
Other
but
trans
you're
people.
saying they dig it out of their own stash to help you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Or they will just be ordering it on the grey market.
I'm
my
doing that. I should probably not say it on the air, but they made a mistake in my prescriptions, and I have 2 prescriptions right now going for estradiol injectable, and they screwed up on the renewal date, so I can get more than I would actually consume, and so I'm building a stockpile.
Good.
send some over to me because I want to go on to injectable stuff. But it's illegal in the UK to take injectable estrogen in any form for any reason.
You guys have to get
what I'm hearing, Jenny, is that you have to inject yourself with gender fluid.
Yeah, girl juice, boob food.
Yes.
Whereas I'm actively looking at if I can get an implant, a hormone implant, because I'm getting really pissed off with tablets and gels and patches. Just
valid. Oh, taking tablets is going to be the bane of my existence because I'm really bad at patterns to the point where I feel like I might have ADHD. For other reasons too, but it's a factor.
Sam, would you like to answer that question for Ox?
Sure. Gatekeeping is basically where boundaries are put in place, usually for a community, sometimes for other things, in order to keep certain people out. So a lot of the time there's gatekeeping in the LGBT plus community towards asexual people, saying that asexual people aren't really in the LGBT plus community. Or you might have gatekeeping where there's certain restrictions put in place that you need to pass in order to get certain medications or certain help. So there is gatekeeping in a lot of trans medical services. So, sorry, Phoebe, go on. I don't want to ramble too much.
The simplest way I would describe gatekeeping, it is discrimination placed on certain groups of society that don't exist on other groups of society. So, for example, trans women have to jump through so many more hoops to get to hormone therapy treatment than cis women do, whereas it's exactly the same medication being given for very similar.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Gatekeeping used to exist here too, Ox. In my days, going through was the late 70s, early 80s. We absolutely had to follow the same profile, just like you guys are doing over there now. Or they were going to say, sorry, we can't help you. There was also some additional things that in the early days, they never even thought people of color could be trans. And so people of color were frequently just plain rejected from any kind of hospital or university program. That's some pretty severe gatekeeping. Yeah. And if you didn't achieve A, B, C, D in the correct order, and in the way that the not objective therapist deems correct, you would not get treatment. You would not get hormones. You would not get you would be canceled out for the chance of surgery ever in your life. So yeah, it was a pretty serious game back then. It's much less in the U.S. today. Everybody is very much more into the self-identification route now, informed consent, if you will.
As things stand now, most gender identity clinics I'm aware of are going to probably try and throw a bit of a fit over what I'm going to need in terms of transition, because being non-binary makes things weird. And so I'm going to potentially end up wanting abnormal amounts of hormones in terms of microdosing and shit. Plus, a lot of the time, they don't actually let people who ID as non-binary take hormones.
You don't want to be in the NHS system. You want to be in a private system. That's all I can say to you, straight up. The NHS will. The NHS will. How can I say this in a polite way that doesn't get me sued by somebody?
Fuck me over?
No, the NHS could potentially lead to you committing suicide. That's how bad it is.
Honestly, I kind of assumed that that's where it was going to get me. And it's like, okay, this is a thing I'm going to have to deal with, given I'm going to end up there one way or another.
We've here, of course, are on the private plan. There is no government, socialized medicine and stuff like that. So the only way we get it covered here is if you happen to be with a particularly kind, generous, and humanistic insurance company, or if you happen to be on Medicaid and Medicaid in some states. Like here in Minnesota, you can get every single penny of cost for being transgender and transitioning covered here, whereas as you go to Pennsylvania, you don't get covered for shit.
Whereas Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan will reimburse you everything. It's all covered under the insurance policy. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan, for example. Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina
Well,
recently said
I want to
that
say
FFS
there is one other way to do it, and it's absolutely legal. And it's through real doctors on an online practice, and you can get it anywhere from $100 to $150 a month. I'm just saying.
I know.
It covers all the lab work. It covers all the hormones, all the doctor's visits, and if you have any side effects like acne or hair loss or whatever, it'll cover that too. And I found a plan for $139 a month, just in case my doc doesn't do it as fast as what I want.
Yeah, my retainer medicine is $30 every 28 days. 30 pounds every 28 days is my retainer medicine.
Right, but the 139 is counting everything, including doctor visits and everything. Labs, they pay for the labs. Everything comes out of that $139. You just go to the lab, they pay for it. You don't even have an out of pocket or anything.
Yeah,
so
that's my only.
It's probably about as much as you would pay there, but here that would be with just copays. That would be every month, blah blah blah. Oh, I don't know, $500, $700, depending on how much the hormones are where you live. Where you can find them at, it'd be really expensive.
See, I have a friend whose plan is basically to buy estrogen on the grey market, start taking it, and go to his doctor and show the doctor that they're taking estrogen.
Yeah,
and basically say
find with that is that the doctor might say that you are self-harming.
Yeah. And he's basically said,
the doctor.
He's basically said that if they word it correctly, that they should be able to get the doctor to prescribe them estrogen such that it's a safe thing. And it's weird, complicated, and I do not envy her the trying to get through that maze.
The only way how I have found the system is by turning around to a doctor and just saying, do as I tell you, or you won't be practicing medicine. And that's how I got a GP to do what I wanted. Because I said, I will make sure you never practice medicine again if you don't do what I'm telling you to do here. Because
what leverage do you have to be able to say that?
Because I would report them to the GMC. I would say they were destroying my mental health. I'd say they were destroying my physical health. I'd say that they were denying me life-saving treatment, and I'd be able to back it up.
Okay.
And the doctor didn't want the complaint to the GMC, because a GMC complaint has to be investigated, and it will stay on their file whilst it's being investigated. And there will be restrictions placed on them. The last thing a doctor wants is a GMC complaint.
Yeah, especially if you go to the head of the surgery.
Yeah,
that can effectively push a surgery into bankruptcy if it isn't resolved super quickly.
Yeah. So basically, be an arsehole in the UK and you'll get somewhere.
Yeah, honestly, my stepmom was a GP and my stepdad was a paramedic. So I'm familiar with the necessity of being an asshole sometimes.
Yeah. It's like other people have said that they have thrown fits and thrown strops in receptionist waiting rooms and they've then got what they wanted. I once had this doctor, when I went at this doctor's practice, a doctor said to me, so you're asking for these medications, we need to know your probation officer's name and for how long you're on the sex offenders register for. I went, pardon?
What?
I went, pardon? Oh, we only give these are only given out to people who are on chemical castration. So therefore, you must have had this must be something that you're being told to go on by a judge as a result of a conviction. And I went, excuse me?
Jesus.
Yeah,
and here's the thing. I've told that to enough trans people, and enough of them have gone, that's disgusting, but not shocking.
Yeah, it isn't shocking. And honestly, here is a fun little thing for you, is that my my GP that I've always gone to growing up has an award for being LGBT affirming, friendly, and knowing how to deal with them. I went to the head of the surgery, and when I said I want to be referred to Tavistock, Gender Identity Clinic, he said, "What's that?" And when I explained it and I said, "I want a referral," he said, "You're going to have to talk me through how to do that."
Yeah, when I first got a referral, when I first started it, I basically sat. This was not the second transition of mine. So the first time I did the second transition, I sat down with my GP and said, "Here is all the information you need to do all of the paperwork that you need, and I will sit here until you've read that." And they were like, "Oh, okay. This is what you're in here for?" "Yes. I'd rather not have wasted your time with this consultation, but your receptionist said that I could leave this letter because it was related to a medical referral and there had to be a consultation. So I do apologise for eating up a 10-minute session of yours, but we don't need to be here for the 10 minutes, and you can catch up on some paperwork if you like after you've read that." But yes, I'll always remember when I walked into a GIC once. And they said to me, "So why do you think you're here today?" I said, "Well, I'm here for a referral to have surgery." And they went, "No, this is just a review." And I went, "So you're wasting my time then?" And they went, "But it's standard to have a review here." I said, "I'm not interested in your reviews." And she went, "But that's what we're doing today." And at that point, I then leaned over to her, took her notes, and then I tore them up in front of her and said, "Do you want to start again?" And she looked at me and she was like... She looked at me and went, "What?" I said, "I'm here for one reason and one reason alone, and that is to have a referral for lower SRS. I'm not interested in reviews. I'm not interested in therapy. I'm not interested in group talking. That's all I want. You do your paperwork and do mine at the same time if you want to. And then I never have to darken your doorway again, and you never have to live rent-free in my mind ever again." And she went, Okay. And she did exactly what I wanted. And I left the papers torn up on her floor.
Oh my goodness.
Has anybody ever put together a list in the UK of trans-friendly physicians or clinics?
Oh, I'm sure somebody has to.
Wow.
There aren't any? Come on. That's fucking ridiculous.
The problem is that, technically speaking, all of them have to be LGBT friendly, including psychologists. However,
that doesn't mean they're really backing, supporting LGBT, right?
Well, it's not only that; it's the fact that I have a friend who has DID, which used to be known as multiple personality.
What is DID?
Multiple personality.
Dissociative identity disorder.
Dissociative identity disorder.
Oh, identity. Okay, I couldn't think of what
I was. Where you have dissociative identity disorder is where you have different personality state manifestations within your own cognition. So you will consciously manifest different personality states.
Yep. And there's a whole bunch of terminology around it. Someone who I am dating, one of the people I'm dating has DID, and so I'm actually dating multiple people in that system because a person with DID, a common term is to refer to them as a system, and then the different states as different alters. But because they are a system, because they have DID, when they've been to try and speak to a therapist, the therapist goes, "Well, are you a non-binary or do you have DID? Which is it?"
See, this is how, look, you ever just have one of those months that you look around and you go, "Man, I'm fucking lucky." That's how I feel right now after talking to people about me starting to transition and what they've been through. And I walked into my doctor's office, who I work for, who I luckily knock, got a job with, and said, "Would you be my doctor?" And she said, "Absolutely." And I said, "Good, because you're like my Aunt Deb." And she said, "Great," and gave me a hug. And then I said, "And then we're going to talk about me transitioning." And she said, "Yay," because she specializes in hormone therapy. Because I just walked into that. and I happen to have moved to a place that's liberal and nobody cares. And like, I don't know how hard it's going to be here because I haven't tried it yet, but I haven't heard any complaints thus far. There's lots of people that she's actually handled one person and has been seeing her for, oh my God, like 15 years now. And she transitioned, detransitioned, retransitioned. Yeah. And I actually got to talk to her on the phone the other day, and we were BSing for a little bit and throwing some stuff back and forth to each other. It was really cool.
It makes me so angry what you guys over there have to go through. It's so
ridiculous.
Inappropriate.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you guys make me feel better about what I'm dealing with because it's like going to be a fraction of what you have to
I see in the chat what Titan has said. The problem with that is the GMC itself and other doctors. So whilst you may have a list of people who are trans-friendly doctors, if you don't play by the rules of the ones that are going to report you and have you struck off, you won't be a trans-friendly doctor anymore. Yeah. See what happened to Dr. Richard Curtis, his successor, Dr. Helen Weberly, all trans-friendly doctors, all doing informed consent care. All of them were struck off or forced out of the profession by other professionals pushing anti-trans, anti-informed consent for trans people messaging.
That is absolutely ridiculous.
Repeat that last line again.
Anti-trans affirming care is something which is rampant in the doctoring community, specifically from individual doctors at gender identity clinics, because some gender identity clinic doctors have taken cases and intervened in cases of other doctors who have been privately practicing because one or two people have had bad experiences with them and they've jumped on that bad experience and then they've got that doctor struck off. There was a doctor who was struck off and there was interventions from the head of one of the gender identity clinics because this person regretted their transition and had consented as an adult to have a double mastectomy. They regretted it and they said that this person had forced them and all this stuff, and the GMC bought it and got this guy struck off.
I would recommend every physician out there video or tape record every one of their sessions with anybody who's trans.
That is illegal in the UK. That is illegal in the UK.
It's also illegal to not have privacy in medical consultations. So,
right, there's HIPAA and shit too.
There's the Patient Records Act of 1990, the Data Protection Act of 1998, the Access to Medical Records Act of 2007, and the General Data Protection Regulations incorporated into the Intellectual Property Act of 2014.
Like, literally, the best
you don't say.
The best a doctor can do in terms of trying to protect themselves is to be aware of issues around transition and to write down in the notes.
Yeah, documentation.
When they do a consultation.
Documentation. Literally, if they document that the person consented to this and/or specifically requested it, that's the best. That's what they sign for. When they sign that last thing before they go into surgery, that's saying I still consent to this. That's what it says.
Yeah, in the UK now, after
they've got no case
consultation that I go to now because I have hearing problems as a result of sepsis. After every time I go and see a hearing consultant, never used to happen, but now I will always get a write-up. I don't ask for it, it just happens. And then they will have on the back of this, if there is anything within this that you disagree with, please contact us immediately and we will seek to rectify the problems that you have. Never used to happen. So they're trying to cover their backsides again.
You know, every time this subject comes up, I get these pangs of guilt that, you know, we've all heard of white privilege, and it's certainly a reality. But I've always felt this thing that I've termed trans privilege. That, you know, at my age and my transition and all that stuff, I'm theoretically done, although you're never really done. It's with you your entire life to the moment you are dying. But in terms of process and programs and all that stuff, I'm done. And I always feel so, I almost want to say inappropriately privileged to have achieved this point, that it's something that so many people want and so many people are prevented from because of either the system that they're working within, or their income, or their medical condition, that they want what I've been able to achieve, but they are prevented from achieving it themselves. And it makes me feel so guilty that
it's, I think the thing is that it's not upon you for having received it, it's upon the system for not allowing other people to also receive it.
Yeah. To demonstrate that point, there was information released under FOIA in the UK on how many patients were seen at the Laurels in Exeter, which is a gender identity clinic in Exeter. And
I know this story.
And at the end of this, they said that they had so many people on the waiting list. It was like 6,000 people on the waiting list. And in a 2-year period, they had seen 3 new patients.
Holy Christ
3
almighty.
new patients. And somebody worked out that
That's
at
gatekeeping.
that rate, it would take over 130 years to clear the backlog, assuming nobody new entered the list.
However, people are entering the list anew at higher rates than ever.
I think I'll stay in New Mexico.
And the problem is that the Laurels don't see a problem in it. The Laurels say that we just accept the referrals.
I think the best case I can make for them is that one of those years was a pandemic year.
But here's the thing, though. One of those years may very well have been a pandemic year. But there were 3 months of that year that weren't pandemic year.
Like I said, the best case I can make for them. Not a good one, the best one.
But here's the thing, though.
Didn't say any of them were good. I just said this is the best one.
Here's the thing, though. Gender identity clinics have dragged their feet on telemedicine, telephone medicine, and video medicine. They won't do it. They just won't do it. None of the GICs will do it. Yet I've had telephone consultations with my audiology specialist.
We do it all the time. If somebody doesn't have to come in, why make them come in during COVID?
Yeah, they said, please don't come in during COVID. And it's like, okay, I need you to... And my audiology specialist said, okay, you've got a problem with your hearing aid? Yes, I've got a problem. We'll send you out a prepaid envelope and you mail it in, and then we'll mail you a new one. But we just need the old one back.
Oh, and if there's any family practitioners out there that are like open-minded and need a new job and want to live in a nice place, we really need doctors out here.
Come to the UK.
No, seriously,
and experience
the
stuff.
town. I don't want to call it a city, but it's not a town either. The area I live in, it's somewhere between a city and a town.
That you inhabit.
There's 6 doctors retiring this year, and people are scrambling to fucking find a doctor.
I would
They're gonna have to drive over a mile away, over an hour away, up to an hour and a half away to get a doctor.
Oof. I would say come to the UK. Equally, I'm aware how our government treats immigrants, and so I don't know that I could in good conscience.
Hey, are you an English-speaking white doctor? If so, the UK welcomes you.
If you are an English or English/Spanish speaking doctor, we welcome you. Get your ass over here.
Yes, we welcome you
bonus.
once you've done several years worth of paperwork.
Before I got hooked up with my therapist, which I did through the hospital network, I'm working with my doctors for the rest of my crap. It took us 6 months to find a therapist in this region that had.
Oh, well, there you go.
It was just getting good.
There you go. That's it. She got cut off by a therapist, you see. The therapist
You
didn't
know
want their story
what?
told, so she got cut off.
That was
The
some
therapist
gatekeeping.
is-
Somebody knew what she was going to say was
Yeah, you know.
meaningful.
Yeah,
You're gonna tell
that
a
therapist
story.
was clearly in league with her internet service provider.
Yes. But yes, getting back to something. You
Yeah,
mentioned
right, Ox?
dissociative identity disorder.
Yeah.
Are you aware of the drama llammering in the DID YouTube community?
I try and stay by and large out of it, but I am aware of it.
All I can say is, and this is one of the most absurd sentences I'm ever going to say in my entire life. Kiwi Farms did the world a service.
I know.
Kiwi Farms did the world a service, and it's just like, what the fuck?
See, the fact that I understand this sentence bothers me.
Yes. The fact that you understand this sentence bothers me. There are certain words that I've said on this stream that are dodgy. But there are certain words I cannot say on this stream because it would negatively affect the ability for me to keep being on YouTube because it may result in you getting a strike against you.
Yeah.
If we go into the details.
Hey, I've not had one yet. Don't you start now, young lady. I swear to God.
Oh, see, I think
Wait a minute.
that...
I forgot lack of.
Oops.
I swear to the lack of God. It's like I will usually say, suck my lack of dick. You know, if somebody's being an asshole to me. Friend, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, you just walked in with me saying, suck my lack of dick, Rowland. Welcome. We're having a discussion about, trans stuff, as I called it on Twitter. Stuff.
I have the delights of being a non-binary person who is, as I'm male at birth, but then I have multiple partners who are trans, one of whom is non-binary in the UK as well and has DID, and the other of which is a trans man living in Texas.
Because all my exes live in Texas. That's why I'm in Tennessee. But yes,
all my exes live in Texas.
But yeah,
sorry, go ahead, Sam.
But anyway, the DID drama on YouTube. I personally think that one of them is a genuinely, seriously unwell person, and the other person is a charlatan.
I do not have enough information to say, but I wouldn't be surprised if you're right.
Yeah. It was one of those things that I looked into as I did a study as part of my CPD for my social work into parasocial relationships.
Yeah.
And I used this as a case study. And I looked into it. Because it also got me to look into dissociative identity disorder as well, which I was curious about. But the main focus of it was parasocial relationships and how people assumed they knew these people personally.
Parasocial relationships are weird.
Yeah. For example, you and I, Sam, are now engaging in a parasocial relationship. At this precise moment in time, this is a parasocial relationship.
Yeah.
The relationship that
Rowland wants to know who we're talking about.
We can't say.
we're just talking about the ups and downs of being trans in today's world and all that shit and the stuff we have to deal with, and doctors trying to stop people from transitioning in the UK and blah blah blah.
Yeah, these people me and Phoebe were specifically referencing are the DID YouTube community.
And one of them identifies as non-binary.
Yep.
I know that because it was in a newspaper.
I have some opinions on the DID YouTubers the same way I have opinions on Calvin Garrow.
I say one of the DID YouTubers puts out good content. Another one puts out good vlogging. Some of them are just in it for drama.
Yep.
That's all I'll say. That's all I will say. But yes, it's...
Yes, Rowland, you do. They have been around.
Oh, hi. Yes. I tend to kind of pop about a bit.
I appear on a lot of shows. I appear on a lot of shows.
I try to, but recently there has been some bullshit, so I haven't been around as much.
I noticed, and I just that's why
Hey,
I said I
Sam,
miss you
Sam.
as soon as I saw you.
Ingratiate yourself with the community and come on my show.
Yeah, you should.
I mean, I've been told by every
Everybody should.
person that I have interviewed that I'm a very good interviewer.
Yeah, she is. She does good.
Fair. Maybe eventually I'll have to drag you on mine.
All I can say is that
Yeah,
there's
I'll
only
sit
one.
over there if you want.
There is but one person that I can safely say that I, with their permission, ripped off their format, and that is Neil, the 604 atheist.
Oh,
I
Neil
asked
is... Neil's good people, and he's just like, yeah, sure, you do this sort of thing too.
But
Oh,
I did
wow.
ask him first. I said, "Look, I've been on your show. I'm doing this," and he's like, "Yeah,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was in the after party of your show on Neil's.
you were."
If
Yes, you
I
were.
could turn back time, if I could find a way, I'd take back all the words that it hurt you, and you'd stay. That's what made me think of it instantly when I saw that. It's a good song.
But yes, you were there. B was there as well in my after party.
Yes.
We talked a
Yes.
lot about white nationalism.
Oh, we did, didn't we?
We did. We did. We talked a lot about white nationalism.
Oh,
and
dear.
Mikey wasn't there. And Mikey we said that he would have liked to have spoken to me about it. So he then had me on the Bin podcast. I've been on the Bin.
Oh, have you been on Bin?
I have been on the Bin. We talked about breastfeeding.
The last time I was on the BIM podcast, they ended up... oh, dear. How do I phrase this nicely? The guys on the BIM podcast are vanilla, and they wanted to talk about sexual things.
Oh. Ouch.
Here's the thing though. When people do that, when I'm not on a Math Pig stream,
Math pig.
I generally let the person who is like that show their lack of knowledge, shall we say.
Well, the thing is, I described some kinks that I didn't think was super out there, and one of them was just like, so what I'm hearing is you fuck unicorns in the woods while the Muppets watch.
Which is accurate, I would say.
Yay!
Wait, here's another thing that I would say. Would you say that the discourse around kinked pride was a nuanced discourse or not? Did you see the big Hank of Hazard debate with about nine people in there?
It's such... That discourse is so dumb to me. Like, so long as no scenes are going on, why do we give a shit?
Yeah.
Wow, what, Maya?
Yeah, Maya, wow, what?
I don't know. I must have missed something. Look, she's talking about the hot tub in the chat, or what she's talking about.
I don't know.
Or
Well,
yeah,
I think
or what Holy said with most people expose themselves. I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, it's a hot tub.
So have you
No,
spoken
Jenny,
to your,
down, Jenny.
Jenny,
That girl.
have you spoken to your gatekeeping therapist? And is your therapist going to unlock the gate and let you talk about them now?
Oh, are you talking to me?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
You are Jenny, are you not?
Yeah.
You cut out talking about how you about a therapist, and we're just like, oh, so the therapist just wanted to stop you.
No, it was just impossible getting a therapist, and we finally did. And I was at the time I was actively suicidal, and it was still almost impossible to find a therapist. So, America's got a really decent system in terms of not gatekeeping, but we definitely have some deficits in our system too, and it's not very good if you're living out in the rural areas for physicians and therapists and things. That's kind of the only point I wanted to make, and the thing broke down and I couldn't get logged back in, and so I'm just all rattled again.
Glad you made it.
I have a question here for you. What is a better way of wasting 10% of your money than giving 10% of it in a tie to a religious organization. What more creative ways could you do to get rid of 10% of your income?
Weapons. Buy weapons. Specifically medieval weapons. I just have an interest in swords.
Okay. Because I think that...
Stock up, Sam. We might need him again someday. Who knows? Hey, a double-headed battle axe is great for zombies. I'm just saying.
In fairness, I want to get into blacksmithing, so I will probably primarily use that to create medieval weapons.
Oh, you want to be a smithy?
As a hobby.
What were you saying, Jenny?
I acknowledge that sounds middle class.
Oh.
If I was going to commit to giving 10% to anything, and there was such a fund, I would happily give 10% to an organization that would create a fund and help pay for the expenses of transition for low-income people without insurance.
Thank you, Jenny. I would love that.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
what are worse ways than tithing 10% of your income to get rid of 10%? What are worse things to do?
Giving it to Boris Johnson.
That's called tax. You don't have much choice in that.
That's called tax. That's called tax.
Just like, yes, equally, am I wrong?
But it is still called tax. I'm surprised that during this period we haven't had more people joining the taxes theft argument.
I would say drinking.
Drinking ... There was a...
Alcohol.
See, big alcohol tried to cut you off there as well.
I mean,
I like what Spackle has said.
What, you can give 10% to a trustworthy charity or movement? I think it's a similar...
No, the one below it.
Or you could save 10% to help others of your own choosing.
Or you give 10% to the National Rifle Association.
Rollins said, I promise I give none of my taxes to Boris Johnson. Fact.
And
I'm sorry, you give it to Rishi Sunak instead.
You know, if you're in America and you want to put money away or put valuable things away for the dystopian future, which we're bound to have, buy 5.56 caliber ammunition. It's going to be fucking gold one day.
Yeah.
Why?
Because that's what an AR-15 uses.
You're going to have to give me more context on the AR-15 shortage or something.
Well, that's the nasty gun that's used for any kind of semi-automatic fire and killing people. And there's so many of them around. It's very popular with the gun freaks, and it takes 5.56 ammo or 7.62. And in a dystopian future when there's nothing left, and these people are going around taking whatever they want, they're going to need ammunition. So sell it to them for whatever you need to survive.
See, similarly, Rowland was considering buying, what do they call it? Shit.
You were considering buying excrement?
Crossbows. Because you can repair them and reuse them. You don't have to make bullets. It's easier to fix an arrow for a crossbow than it is to buy more bullets. And when used properly, very lethal. The funny thing, no, AR-15s are not preferred for home invasions, and the reason is that you're going to shoot up your whole fucking house trying to hit that bastard. What you need for a home invasion or for home protection is a fucking 9mm. And if you can't do it with that, you shouldn't have been in the house when you knew they were there anyways. You should have fucking left.
If you
want something, should be enough.
But if you want something for home invasion, just Kevin McAllister your front door.
Yeah, well.
All I can say is the two Brits in this conversation are probably thinking very similarly. What the donkey shit are you Americans talking about?
Pretty much, yeah. Like, if I wanted something to defend myself with in the middle of the night, I'm pretty much stuck with this. Which, in fairness, you know.
Okay, so we talked about sewer tours, and now we're waving sex toys.
The best home protection choice would be a shotgun that is just barely legal in terms of it being sawed off, and the nastiest double-aught buck loads that you can get, and probably a pump action, because everybody knows what a pump action shotgun sounds like, and they know the damage it does. You want something like that because it spreads more than it goes forward, and it will take people out even with bad aim, which most amateurs have, and it's not likely to go through a wall and kill your neighbor.
These conversations, as a Brit, I just go, what?
If someone
in Britain, we do have the occasional unhinged individual who does go around with a gun. There was a guy in Cumbria, Lancashire, who did it. His name was... I always remember his name because he was in cahoots with Paul Gascoigne. And that will mean nothing to the Americans in here, but may mean something to Sam.
Oh, yeah.
His name was Raoul Moat, which is one of the most memorable names going.
Raoul Moat
was the name of this mass murderer in the UK who went around shooting taxi drivers.
David Byrne.
I don't know how much you would know about the area that I'm about to mention, but are you at all familiar with like Tomwodden or Hebden Bridge area, Phoebe?
Oh, what, the Lesbo capital of England?
Yeah. Well, my granddad lived around there.
And Hebden Bridge in West Yorkshire.
Yeah. So I went into a pub with my granddad before he died, but anyways, and this guy came in wearing like an armor type outfit with including a big fuck off helmet. But he was carrying around a bunch of copper pipes and stuff that had been like welded and shit to look like a shotgun. And his mate was supposed to be coming to the same pub, was dressed similarly, but was carrying what was coppered together to look like a machine gun. And they both got the police called on them, but one of them had reached the pub first, and when the police got to the pub, and he was able to show them, look, it's not a real gun, and the pub owner said it was okay for him to be in there, the police kind of just shrugged. But the guy who didn't get to the pub in time got arrested.
But yeah, the thing with the UK compared to the US is that anytime there is anything involving gun crime in the UK that is not one-off gun crime or involves the police, makes the news. It's like there was... The police in the UK usually get hauled over the coals if they shoot somebody dead. And they don't like it. So they are very scared in the UK to go out shooting people.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen an actual gun. I'll be honest. Like I've shot air rifles and shit, but
that's an actual gun.
No, air rifles are pellet guns.
You mentioned that you had this guy that did this terrible stuff, and the implication is that happens very rarely in England or Britain or UK, whatever you want to call yourselves for this story, and it happens a lot in America, as we all know. If you had the guns accessible like we did, you would have it too.
Okay, here's the argument about Canada.
Canada does not have the guns available like we do here. They just don't.
Yeah, and honestly, I think I think that's a strong argument for gun control.
Yep.
But the thing with the UK is that the police themselves tie themselves in knots when it comes to shooting people. There was a man named Mark Duggan who was in a back of a taxi who was shot dead by the police, and it caused the London riots. That was the nexus of the London riots. But then again, you can also smell institutional corruption a mile away because Cressida Dick, actual name, was the, quote, Gold Commander on the day that Jean-Charles de Menezes was murdered on the London Underground.
I I think something to note about...
And she's now the Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police.
Something to note about most, if not all, branches of the UK police is that they're family businesses.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. They're the mafia in blue suits.
And it's the same with the ambulance service. The ambulance service is a family business.
They're the mafia in green coveralls.
I'm not trying to challenge you when I say this, but I'm curious as to how do you determine this? Is this just rhetoric, or?
By that I mean that the same 2 or 3 families run the whole of the northwest of England ambulance service. Upper management, all from the same 2 or 3 families.
And the common name for the Metropolitan Police is the Gang of London. And
it's really pretty widely known, especially if you know anyone who's an officer or a paramedic or anything. It's pretty widely known that all of the higher-ups are in with each other and are related in some way or are very close personal friends.
It's all nepotism. To get up that high, it's nepotism. Mm-hmm. It's just pure nepotism. So, for example, Cressida Dick, she was criticised for authorising a Brazilian electrician to be shot dead inside a tube station on a tube train, and is now running the Metropolitan Police. She's now the top police officer in London.
Like, an illustration might be that my stepdad is 6'4". He's literally too tall to drive the ambulance services cars. They made him drive them anyway, and when he got an injury at work due to this and tried to file a complaint, the regional manager came down to tell him to drop the complaint personally in a room with no recording.
But speaking of height, I am too tall to be an air traffic controller.
Really?
Yeah. You have to be within a certain height range because of the console.
See, that actually does make sense, even though that's a really bizarre
So
thing.
you have to be between 5'7" and 6'1".
Oh, so me being 5'10" is fine then.
Yes, I'm too tall at 6'4".
Fair.
It's because you are generally in a specific seated position, and if you're taller than that, you'll be hunched over, and if you're shorter than that, you can't reach it.
So even with my big
Phoebe, you're 6'1".
6'4".
You're 6'4". Oh, God.
See, shut the front door, are you?
Boy, did you just go?
Sorry, I had to cut up a watermelon.
10 points in my crush library.
Now I angle my camera so I look even more intimidating.
And we can barely hear you.
Which, honestly, that means that when I wear my intimidating boots, as they've been referred to, or as my best mate refers to them as the step-on-me boots, I'm only just shorter than you, because they are platforms that are 5 inches at the back and 3 inches at the front.
Now, here's the thing. I've got a pair of 6-inch heels that then makes me 6'10", but I also have my how much of a rocker/metal arsehole do I want to be, and I have a pair of platforms that do, as a total, have a 10-inch heel on them. So that then makes me 7'2".
Sam, I'm sorry for interrupting you.
Oh, you're all good. Just kind of conversation flows like that.
But yeah,
it's...
My biggest boots make me 7'2", and they are knee-high boots. They're knee-high boots.
See, my only one-up I have to people with really big boots is that my platforms have pockets.
They're not, they like keep goldfish in them or something, do you?
No, though they are a decent size that I can like put a pocket knife in one and a fiver in the other.
Make sure that pocket knife is no longer than 10 centimeters. Otherwise,
it's
in prison.
About yay big.
Yeah, but a knife longer than 4 inches or 10 centimeters will wind you up with a 5-year mandatory prison sentence. Possession of a gun in the UK, that's 10 years. Possession of a bullet, it's 2.5 years per bullet.
without license, obviously.
Yeah,
How many,
without
how
license,
many
but
murders
you
were there in
cannot-
the UK?
Murders in the
murders-
UK.
Yeah,
For last year.
See,
Or any year.
I did a fun thing a little while back where I compared police deaths for the US to the UK. And when you adjust for population size, I think it was something like the US cops kill something like 400 times more than the UK cops do.
For the previous year, considering the United Kingdom has an estimated population of 63.4 million, there were 695 intentional homicides.
Wow. That's like nothing.
That's 1 week in Chicago.
And here's the thing, though.
Not really, but damn
The
near.
trans population in the UK make up about, on average, 0.4% of the population. Yet, on average, there are 5 murders of trans people a year in the UK. So of that 695 trans people are murdered. So proportionately, trans people being murdered is ridiculous in the UK. Even though the actual statistical numbers are small, proportionately speaking, it is enormous.
Yeah, so to give percentages, that is 0.7% compared to 0.4%.
Yeah.
Which is nearly
There
double.
were probably last year somewhere around 30 or 40,000 gun deaths in the United States.
So yeah, nearly twice as many trans people are shot compared to what you'd expect. Oh, not shot, killed, sorry. Words.
So,
Wow, that's scary.
So the CDC have rates of death in the USA, but they do it per 100,000 people. And they have rates of death that... This is...
20,000. Gun violence killed nearly 20,000 Americans in 2020.
Are they separating suicide out of that number?
That's
the
a good
US
question. Let me
death rate
check.
per 100,000 people is 6.1. The US, the US homicide rate is 6.1 out of 100,000. So per 100,000 people, 6.1 people are murdered in the US.
I'm sorry, Jenny. In 2020, gun violence killed nearly 20,000 Americans, according to the data from the Gun Violence Archive, more than any other year in at least 2 decades. An additional 24,000 people died by suicide. And let's see if there's any other numbers in here. Gun injuries, just people injured, not the people that died. On top of that is another 39,427.
That's everybody in this county and the one next door to me. Plus.
Those numbers almost
How many
exactly
people
the
did you say?
population of the area I live in. It would be
How
like
many-
them killing off this entire area.
How many people did... Just run those numbers by me one more time.
22,000 deaths, including... No, 42,000 deaths, including suicides. And then an additional 29,000 injuries from guns.
That's like wiping out...
It's wiping out the town, the area I live in.
The entire city I live
This
in.
county I live in.
That's like
It's like
wiping out
80,000
the
people.
that's like wiping out the village I live in and the surrounding like 5 or 6 villages at least.
Now, I
That's
live
like-
in Brighton, and it's got a population
Every
of
year.
250,000.
That's like
So in
taking
5
everybody
years,
in
the
Wembley
population of
Stadium
Brighton
and
will
going,
be gone. In
Although
5
that's a
years, the
high
population
number,
of
it's
Brighton
usually
will be
about
gone.
5,000 less. Sorry, Phoebe.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
okay,
that's
6
and that
years.
was that was me accounting for how many how many of mine and then the surrounding villages would be wiped out in a single year from that.
We have some states who have more than 1,000 people a year killed on the highways. You know, everybody gets all upset about 9/11 and the fact that 3,000 people died. And yes, it's a horrible tragedy, and everything that we feel about it is correct. But when you compare that to the other preventable deaths that happen in this country. It's insane.
Anyway, I have other commitments tonight. So wonderful human beings that have put up with me for 2 hours now. Thank you ever so much. Toodaloo.
Wait, you gotta wait
take care.
30 seconds.
Phoebe,
Wait.
poke me on the tweet.
You haven't hit 2 hours yet.
Poke me on Twitter, by the way, Phoebe, and we try and talk about getting me on your show.
Yes.
You have to give me another couple bites of watermelon before you leave.
Well, StreamYard says 2 hours now.
StreamYard says 1 hour, 59 minutes, and 50 seconds for me.
Yes.
2 hours 12 for me.
Hey, Phoebe, thank you so much for coming on and talking about everything, and I appreciate your point of view from overseas and stuff.
If you ever want a vat of information, just ask me.
And Phoebe,
Touche.
I'll meet you in Reykjavik for a date, okay?
Or in Inuktitut.
Okay.
Inuktitut works as well.
I swear to God, if you call me that one more time, I will kick you out of here. Hey, Phoebe, I love you. Have a great night.
Bye-bye.
Take care, Phoebe. Not immediately, but fairly soon, I'm probably going to also have to duck out because I have a train in 9 hours.
Well, I think the shows are coming on here soon, so I was going to jump off by the time they came on. Unless anybody else wants to come on that's in the chat. Hold on. Holy Spackle's been hanging out there for a while. I don't know if she was passing through or if she was going to... The hell was that?
I don't know.
Sounded like an old record. That. Sam, what are you doing? Playing a game?
No, I am jumping between messages because I am being messaged by my boyfriend and my non-binary partner. One of them wanting to know if I am around, and the other being like, "Hey, it's 9 hours till your train. Get some fucking sleep." Because it is 20 past midnight. Jenny, I don't know if you're muted on purpose, hon.
Oh,
I said that's not too late for a young person.
hello, HS.
Hey.
Heyo. You know, it's not too late, except I do have to get up at like 7:30.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
There we go.
Hello.
I muted things. It was like so echoey. I was so confused. Okay, all fixed.
Nope, no confusion here. Everybody here is totally sane.
I don't know about that.
It makes 100% of sense all the time.
Clearly.
Don't call me sane.
I'm
Sorry,
staying as
Jenny.
long as I stay the course.
Fair enough. Oh, you don't bother hitting me up in private chat. I never see that shit. I'll just look down and get you. I never look at private chat. I don't know why.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes I look over. There's like 20 messages in there, and the panel's having a whole conversation. I have no idea what's going on. I don't know why.
Wait, ways to have a conversation behind B's back. Do it in the
You
private
guys
chat
could do
right
it. No, just Sam, just distract me with the chat, and then you're good. If I get distracted by the chat, like you and Phoebe were saying something, and then Maya said, "Wow," and I was like, "What's going on?" She said, I don't know if I want to repeat what was said to Sam. And I'm like, who said what? I totally missed. What did I miss?
The context there was we were just in the vaguest terms. We ended up discussing my sex life temporarily.
Okay.
Gosh, I missed everything.
It was more of it was more of an. I mentioned some kinks that I think were relatively tame. And the people at the Bin podcast kind of freaked out a bit. It was described as, okay, so your sex life is basically just your fucking unicorns in the woods while the Muppets watch. Was the comment.
I mean, I do have some puppets here. I never thought about getting kinky with them, though.
This is valid. And
it's kind of like looking at a doll or a stuffed teddy bear, right?
Yeah, I
I'm
just
going,
never
ooh,
thought
you
about
turned
it.
me on. What is that thing with the guys fucking teddy bears? What the hell is up with that shit?
I don't know. Did you know there's this thing called cake farting? And there's videos of people cake farting and sitting on cakes, and that's a whole thing.
That is, in fact, a thing.
No, Jenny, they have these teddy bears that have like a glory hole basically in it. Like a pocket pussy, but in a teddy bear. And these guys are like putting themselves on shit, fucking a teddy bear.
I've heard of bears, but not that kind of bear.
Yeah, no. These aren't real people. These are like little stuffed animals about this tall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also the term otter, and that usually has like the in-between guy that's sort of like a bear, but sort of medium build, you know, like, and there's the otter. But now maybe I'm wondering if there's stuffed otters too. I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know. I'm strangely attracted to. No, it's.
See, I
Just kidding.
the one that tends to freak people out is if you bring up like you know, you can get like dildos with cum holes and stuff, but you can get ones with slightly larger ones that are for squeezing eggs out of. And those are the ones that tend to weird people out for some reason.
Okay, Doorknob had. I don't shy away from marry, fuck, kill games like at all. So like, I will answer your question. So with the Muppets, I would kill Miss Piggy. She'd go off the cliff right away.
Right, she's an irritating bitch.
Right, she needs to go. I would marry Beaker because like he's funny, and I guess I'd fuck Gonzo because I don't know, he's got a bike.
See, I would pick Animal because Animal's probably the best time you'll ever fucking have.
See, I was about to say Animal.
That would be the
Animal
fuck.
would be, yeah.
Animal would be the fuck. I would say kill.
One act.
Definitely still Miss Piggy. I can't think of anybody I hate worse than
Right?
than her.
She needs to go.
And the Mary, Mary, one of the Muppets. That's tough.
Yeah, but Beaker goes meep meep beep beep beep.
It's true. Beaker is cute, but I don't know. Very long head. I don't know if I can handle that. God, I don't know. Who would I marry? I think I'd marry the chef because at least I'd have good food all the time.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And
Honestly,
he's a
I'm gonna
happy
have to-
fucker. You know.
Yeah. I was gonna say it has to kind of either be the chef or Cookie Monster, I think.
And the chef has real hands.
There you go, Randolph. Pigs in space.
I would do away with Miss Piggy as well. I can't stand it.
Miss Piggy gets a unanimous kill vote then.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
She's just an irritating fucking bitch. But you know, you got to have that one bitch in every comedy, right?
Well,
And the good guy always has to deal with the bitch. The best guy in the whole group is always dating the like horrid bitch.
no, I think we're destroying our society because we give characters like the egotist, the bully, the irritating motherfucker platform. I think that hurts us in the long run.
Although I never would have wrote it to have a frog and a pig fucking. I mean, that's never came to my mind. I always thought it'd be better with like Fozzie and Miss Piggy because Fozzie was such a dipshit, needed somebody to tell him what to do anyways. And she was so demanding.
I came to the conclusion a while ago that it must just be that Kermit has a size kink or something.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I will tell you. You talking about the old guys, or you talking about the? Oh no, yeah, the old guys. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. The old guys were great.
You know what the
And the
best
eagle
part
was like
the
the-
ending.
Proudest part, right? You know what the best part was? What? The ending.
They're the best.
Absolutely. Yep, pigs in space. I remember that shit. We used to laugh our asses off at it. Well, pigs fly, so what's gonna happen now?
Staying with the puppet theme, I guess we could go to Mystery Science Theater. I don't know.
Mystery Science Theater 3000. I could never stoop down to the level of movies they watched. I just can't.
Oh, really? I watched a
They're
lot of
so
those.
bad. They're so bad. They're so B. and not in a good BE way, just B. Yeah.
Look, Santa Claus conquers the Martian. The worst one was Manos: The Hands of Fate, where this couple stumbles onto a cult. I guess it's supposed to be his name is Mephisto. Can we keep him? It's a dog. Like, what the hell? This demonic looking dog.
The weirdest old sci-fi movie I ever saw. And I can't remember the name. I always forget the name of the thing. It was 5,000 Hands of Dr. Somebody or other, or about this weird guy who kidnaps all these children to put them into a band where everybody plays piano, and it's just the weirdest damn thing you've ever
Really?
seen. Yeah, it was really.
Yeah, that's why I kidnap kids to make them play piano.
Yeah.
That's weird.
I gotta tell you, the scariest part of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang is that whole kid catcher thing is terrifying. Like, what the fuck is this?
This is for children? What?
It's really creepy.
Right?
And then I was terrified of ice cream trucks ever since.
Oh. How about taco trucks?
What trucks?
Taco.
Taco truck.
For some
Taco
reason, I'm not
trucks.
hearing right. I don't know if I'm hearing right.
Taco.
Taco.
truck.
You know,
Oh, taco
burrito,
trucks. Oh, God.
burrito
Is there
box.
taco trucks? We have taco carts over here. Like, I was at the beach, and, like, this guy just rolled up with a taco cart. I was like, oh, that's awesome.
Well, I live in New Mexico, so we have like burrito and taco and torta and everything. You can there's trucks everywhere. There's this one strip, it's where Airport Road is, the road that goes to the regional airport, the smaller airport. You can go down that, and this whole section for like 3 miles, they call it Little Mexico. And it's full of nothing but Hispanic stores, and those trucks are everywhere. Like every parking lot has 2 trucks in it, one on each side. And you can just stop wherever and get homemade Mexican food out of the truck.
See, I'm in San Diego, so we're Baja Mex. Is it like Tex-Mex over in your area?
No, it's just Mex, I think. There's no text to it. Like here you can go in any restaurant and you can find some kind of Hispanic dishes. You can find something with tortillas, something with beans, some kind of burrito. Everywhere, every single place, including McDonald's, has green chilies. And McDonald's even has a green chili cheeseburger. And yeah, you can't find that shit on the East Coast. It's like this is the home of the Hatch green chilies. So everywhere there's green chili sauce.
You can't get a lobster roll outside of Boston.
No, I cannot get a lobster. I would not eat anything that said lobster on it from here. We are landlocked. It would probably be a bad idea.
And in Wisconsin, McDonald's sells bratwurst.
Huh.
Really?
It's interesting. Yeah, so anyway, like you call down the store and order breakfast, and you're gonna go pick it up, and you get no matter what you get, there's green chili right there. Give you black beans, give you rice. What do you want? Best black beans I've ever had. Over there, it's all like pinto beans and shit like that, but over here, it's all black beans.
Are green chilies the hot ones?
It depends on how concentrated the sauce is, honestly. There's some places you can pour a whole bunch on and it just tastes good. Some places you put half, because they always give you these containers, those little to-go sauce containers. You put half on. Some of them you just dribble a little bit and you're like, that's just depends on how strong they make it. But yeah, if you cook it down long enough, it can be downright vicious.
I'm a weakling. I just like a little bit of spice, too much, and I'm like, I need milk.
Yeah.
Well, I can do hot stuff, but I don't like the fact that it's good for cleaning out your sinuses. But I don't like the fact that it keeps me from tasting the rest of the food.
I am a hot wimp. Taco Bell is too hot for me.
Oh, no, there's nothing in Taco Bell is too hot for me.
The best thing about Taco Bell is their little sayings on the back of the hot sauces, and there's one that says, like, I wish I was a waterbed.
Yeah. I wish I was a waterbed instead of a sauce packet. Does that mean it wants people to lay on it?
I guess.
I don't know.
That's
Maybe
odd.
it's like an aspiration of a small flat object full of fluid to a bigger flat object full of fluid. Like that's just, it wants to be a waterbed.
We all have dreams.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Maybe the fucking mild sauce has a dream, man. It happens. And honestly, Taco Bell's sauces are fucking horrible, anyways.
They used to have this
Not that good.
green. Well, they call it verde sauce.
Yeah, the salsa verde. They used to, and they got rid of it.
Yeah,
Well, at least I haven't seen it.
yeah, no, they got rid of it, and I can't understand. It was the only sauce that was edible, as far as
That was that's green chili sauce. That's pretty close to, but not exactly Hatch green chilies, I don't think, but closer to what our sauce is everywhere here. But only homemade and tastes better.
I can't believe how much they charge for like picante sauce or salsa. They just rip the fuck out of you for that stuff.
Yep. It's true. People are cool around here. Like the patients will come into our office and they'll give us like one of them brought a homemade apricot ginger jelly. My other job, some lady gave me some homemade jalapeno jelly. They bring in like fresh apricots and apples and stuff from their farms. Some lady brought us like a whole thing of tamales, homemade tamales that she had made that morning. They were still hot and everything. It's just people just like, I guess because we're in a Spanish area, everybody just tries to feed us, man. It's crazy.
Not a bad place to be.
No, it's not. Like half the time I go into work and I don't have to buy lunch. I never bring lunch with me. And if nobody feeds us, like shows up with food or something, or the bosses don't say, hey, I'm buying lunch, then I'll just like snack on like some popcorn or something and go home and eat. But I don't even pack a lunch because I eat about 2-3 days out of the week. I don't pay to eat. So yeah, it's pretty great. Well, Heather tells everybody, our MSPAC, she tells everybody, she's like, she'll say like flowers and food say you care, or chocolates and candy say I love you, or whatever, or, you know, tamales sound good today or something, and they'll just bring her shit. Like, thank you for doing that extra thing for me. She takes payment in wine. Doesn't matter. She does. She's like, glad she gave me that bottle of wine today. It was a rough day. I'm gonna go home and drink it. See you guys tomorrow. She's a fucking trip. Oh, if she was into anything except for cis-het men, I'd marry her. I hope she's not watching this. That'd be really embarrassing. Talk about something else just in case. Anyways.
For my number.
I'm thinking I'm gonna have to.
Sam would have more of a chance than any of us. All right, Sam. I love you. Have a good night.
Bye, Sammy.
I love you guys. Take care.
Night.
You too, buddy.
Getting dark here.
Still pretty bright here.
I suppose I could add a little more light to it.
I'm an hour behind you, though, so. Thanks for the 1 hour warning, Jenny. What area are you in, HS?
Me?
Yeah, where do you live?
I am in San Diego.
Oh, Sandy. Oh, that's right. You did say that. My bad.
So Southern
San
California.
Diego.
The southest of California. I love it. So San Diego is a big city, but it is a big city that has like a friendlier feel. And it's not as tense as LA, or the traffic's not as Mad Max over here as it is up in LA. So it's the more chill area out of the big cities.
LA sucks.
Yeah.
I don't
stressful.
ever want to be anywhere near that place again. Lots of traffic, too many people. Everything's so pricey you can't afford it. No interest. I'm not interested in going to New York City either.
Well, it's the there's sort of a vibe of the city that you pick up, and LA has a very beat down vibe to it. Like people are just stressed and more beaten down there. Like it's not as carefree as the rest of Southern California. It's a little more heavier. At least to me, that's how I feel. Like when I'm down there, I'm like, people are always angry that you're in their way. They're always in the rush to get things. They're not very happy. Like it just, to me, like, and there's a lot of people that are just like, I don't know if it's failed artists or what, but a lot of people that just like are in dire straits in LA, like big time, where, I mean, it's like that everywhere, I suppose, but like LA has like a vibe that I don't much enjoy. So I
Right.
just
Yeah, I don't like that stressful. I can't do cities. And I especially can't do big cities. I mean, I spent a lot of time driving truck in and out of New York and saw a bunch of different areas of New York City. And I've been in almost every single major city except for like Denver and what's that one place in Texas? Can't think of it right now.
Dallas,
I've been all the big
Austin.
ones. No, I've been to all those. Huh?
Dallas, Austin, Fort Worth.
Austin. I haven't been to Austin.
Austin, I heard, is a place to be in Texas.
I've never been to San Francisco.
Oh, never?
I've only been to San Diego one time, and I flew in and got picked up at the airport by my friend's kid, and he gave me the car that she wanted brought back, and I drove it all the way back to Pennsylvania. So I was there for like literally an hour. Like from the time we left the airport, we dropped him off. He didn't live far from the airport, and I took off.
Yeah, that's not much time to experience anything. It's just bye.
No, but I had an agenda, so you know. But yeah, I've been all over the fucking place. I just don't like cities. I was born in the country, and you can take the redneck out of. No, I shouldn't say that. I'm not a redneck.
I like the city I live in. It's got a very positive vibe, and everybody's so friendly. And you can leave your keys in the car and leave your cell phone at the laundromat, and it'll be there when you get back. And
yeah. Oh, here, you left your cell phone.
Well, Camp Pendleton, I mean, well, first of all, they're not much respect if you are a Marine. My family's like Navy, and so back in the days before they decided to move everybody back to the Great Lakes, because that makes sense, like Navy was like a big thing here. And then obviously the Marines were Pendleton, but like Pendleton's like not even San Diego proper. That's sort of like Oceanside. So like it's sort of like Pendleton's one of those things where they can drive up the coast or down the coast to us. So they could go up to LA if they wanted to visit, or they could come down to San Diego. I guess they're a little bit closer to us, but yeah, it's I mean, I would say that if you're in a situation where you're in training, then yeah, it's gonna be way different vibe than the city for sure.
For sure.
I've never been a Marine, but I hear it's intense.
So just so you guys know, I'm putting a link in that is over to Pale Blue Mama. She is streaming right now, and she's doing some kind of open hangout thing, and Ben is over there. So when you guys get sick of us, you're welcome to hop over there and give Ben some love and support. And when we're done here, I'm going to go over there.
I'm kind of sick of you. You know,
I think you should. You should ditch, Jenny. Seriously, I'm such a fucking bore. I just write off the back of my panel, people. That's what I do. I don't know anything.
You write off the back.
I'm a horrible conversationalist. I just sit here and let you guys talk, and I throw in funny comments to make people laugh. That's my gig.
That's what a lot of facilitators do. They don't have to be the lead of the conversation.
Jenny said, I don't know if they're funny. You could suck my lack of dick, Jenny.
Okay.
Jenny, behave. Oh, Jenny.
I'll leave in the morning.
What are we going to do with you? What are we going to do with you? Jenny, and it used to be Jen too, were like hopelessly flirting with me all the time. Like this blatantly didn't care. It was funny.
And
I was like, oh, thanks. But I want like a little Hispanic looking chick, really. It's what I really wanted. But actually, I'm dating this blonde chick, and she's really fucking cool and supportive, and it kind of freaks me out. Like I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop.
I have a hard time being attracted to blondes. There's something in me that usually
I'm not normally a blonde person, but she's just really like, I instantly had a really good I mean, we were texting and I felt like a good vibe. Like I'm going to get along with her. Like I just knew it. And she is very sweet and considerate, and she's a good person. I was lucky to find her. Hopefully she puts up with my shit for a while.
I've never
How long have you guys been seeing each other?
A couple months.
I've never let hair color dictate the personality I think somebody has.
Yeah, I think it's like an extra, right?
Yeah.
Blondes aren't really all dumb.
No,
No,
actually, she's
no.
quite intelligent, and she does online shit for work, dealing with like chat communities and stuff, and moderating.
Although if you're a deep Auburn, you are a goddess. So there's a limit to.
If you're deep Auburn, what?
If you're deep Auburn, you're a goddess.
Oh,
I have this thing for gingers.
really?
For sure.
I've never been attracted at all to ginger. It's just never. Every woman I've ever seen that's like a redhead, they're really freckly, like all over freckly, and I'm like, wow, that's worse than mine. That's bad.
I don't even mind freckles.
for
That's
my
not like a
H-spots.
big freckles aren't a killer for me either. But like redheaders, I don't know. Maybe because it's unusual. Maybe it's the reputation of being fiery, the Maureen O'Hara thing, you know.
Maybe.
Oh God. You named the ultimate.
Maybe.
If you haven't noticed, I'm an old movie fan. Like,
I love Maureen O'Hara films and Lauren Bacall. Oh my God.
Oh my gosh, I just read her like autobiography. It's worth it.
A walk through a maze for blondes, a stick in the middle of a field. Fucking ox. Think they're just gonna walk around a stick for hours? Is that what it is? Try to find their way out? Jesus, man.
Maybe because blondes are overrepresented in SoCal. Like people dye their hair to be blonde, they bleach their hair, you know, like it's
yeah.
Mm-hmm. When I was younger, before the gray invaded, I tended to lean a little blonde in some spots, but in other spots a little red. So I never knew where the hell I was coming from.
Strawberry. Isn't that what strawberry is? Strawberry blonde?
No, I didn't
used to
have
be a
any
strawberry blonde.
that were actually that strawberry color, and it was in clumps. Like over here there was a lot of blondishness, and over here there was a lot of reddishness, and in the back it was just generally this ugly mousy brown.
You're like, can you
Where
distribute
the sun was
evenly?
hitting where the sun was hitting your hair at. Because if you have natural blonde hair, the sun will bleach your hair a little bit. That's like Peach, my girlfriend. She is Dutch, so she's literally a natural blonde. Like her mom has blonde hair, you know.
Oh man, the Dutch, man. Like I don't know what's going on with the Dutch, but like whatever they eat or do, like they're almost always in really good shape. What the fuck?
Oh no, she's a little chunky like I am, but she walks way more than I do. I'm lazy as fuck. She's pretty active.
I have this Dutch friend that we're always at war about speed skating.
Speed skating.
Yeah, speed skating in Holland is like the biggest thing there is. It's just very, very important to their culture, and they do really well in the Olympics. They kick our ass all the time, but I never admit that to them. Even though it's in the statistics. I go all flat earth on them and just deny everything.
You're like, but I saw what I saw.
I'm sorry again.
I saw what I saw. I watched this and I didn't feel that you won. It doesn't feel that way to me. And I hold a belief that my team actually won.
Well, I'd like the Dutch. I'm always confused about the Dutch for a lot of different reasons. It's the only country with like 3 names, isn't it?
I'm confused at what they do with J's and V's in their names. I'm like, I don't even know.
And the other thing that confuses me about them is why is their capital called the? Why do they have the in their title of their capital? The Hague. You know, why isn't it just Hague?
Really? It's the
Yeah.
Hague? Oh, I didn't even know that.
Why is it the Hague? I don't know. And if I ask Dutch people, they mostly go, I don't know.
Don't they have like a lot of suffixes in their name too, like Van or Von this, Von that? Yeah.
Well, you crazy folks, I'm going to end this and go over and give Ben some support and love and shit. So if you guys want to go over there, links in the chat. And thank you, Jenny, for coming on and being brilliant as usual. And thanks, Egg Chess, for coming up. I like getting to know you and talking to you. I think you're pretty cool. So
Well, thanks for letting
you're
me
always
visit.
welcome. Okay. Everybody in the chat, whoever's left in there, all 9 of you or whatever, thank you so much for coming. I always appreciate the love and support you guys show me. Everybody, take care of yourselves. Take care of one another.
Good night,
And
all.
have some peace in your life.